As the UN Climate Change Summit comes to a close, one European nation stands out for the strides it has taken to convert from fossil fuels to renewable energy sources like wind and solar power. That country is Denmark, which aspires over the next 35 years to become the first nation on Earth to run completely on clean energy, including for transportation. In tonight's signature segment, we begin on Samsø Island, just west of Copenhagen, to see how that plan is taking effect. NewsHour special correspondent Lisa Desai reports.
The island of Samsø lies 9 miles off Denmark's mainland. It's mostly a farming community and home to 4,000 residents who are part of a cutting-edge experiment.
Good morning.
Søren Hermansen is the man most responsible for putting Samsø on the map as the world's first island powered 100% by renewable energy. The transformation began in the late 1990s.
The question would always be, does it cost more than what we have today? Or how do we finance it? Or is it technically difficult? Will it change my daily routines and stuff like that? Okay, so all the smart house thing here is controlled by a computer.
As the director of the Samsø Energy Academy, Hermansen hosts visitors from around the world, explaining how Samsø went from being entirely dependent on imported oil and coal for its electricity to running fully on wind and solar energy.
It's producing about 6,000 kilowatt hours per year, which is the same as we consume in total per year.
Oh, right. The main source of power on the island is 21 wind turbines, 11 onshore and 10 offshore.
The electricity is all produced from wind turbines today, which was a great big effort because, I mean, some of the islanders, they kind of had this image that, wow, maybe the island will flip over.
Right.
Because it's so big.
Overall, the island produces more energy than it consumes and transmits the excess by cable to mainland Denmark. Samsø uses the profit it makes from selling the excess, about $3 million last year, to improve its energy infrastructure.
Some of the critics said a wind turbine will never pay back its own cost in its lifetime. That's a myth.
But most of the island's home heating comes from a different renewable source, biomass or plant-based energy, and the fuel is locally grown straw.
We have 4 district heating plants, and they serve about 75% of all heating demands.
Hermansen took me to one of those heating facilities.
We burn straw in like a big pot and then cook water and send it around to people.
Transforming Samsø has cost $80 million over the past decade and a half, a mix of private investment and government subsidies. Hermansen says the biggest challenge wasn't economic or technical, it was social.
The farming community should be convinced that they should share their land with the wind turbines and other owners, and they could either be their own owner or they could be cooperative owners with other people. And for the house owners, if you change your heating system to be able to use district heating or biomass or solar panels feeding into your heating system, then it'll be cheaper and better than the previous or the traditional oil boiler that you had in the house before. I needed to show them the money in a way.
Show the money to Samsø residents like electrician Brian Kerr, who decided to place a wind turbine in his own backyard.
This is your own personal turbine.
Yes, it is.
And not a lot of people can say they have one in their backyard.
Kerr figures the wind turbine saves his family $2,000 to $3,000 a year on his electric bill.
Everybody is looking here and say, oh, you're so way ahead in our challenge to cut back on fossil fuels. And for us, it's just our everyday life, and we feel it's natural.
Down the road, farmer Joran Tranber is also energy self-sufficient.
I have full up all my good roofs with solar panels, and this house is full up with straw.
He owns solar panels, part of an offshore wind turbine, and another turbine that's right on his property.
The solar panels, they pay back in 8 years, and so, why not try?
Instead of just talk, you did action.
Yes, and I have earned money on it.
He earns money by selling the power he doesn't use back to the Samsø utilities.
So what are we about to do?
Well, we intend to climb the turbine.
We'll warm up once we start climbing.
That's right.
Can I go in?
Yeah, go in. Aluminium, so it takes...
Before starting up, I put on a safety suit and gloves. It's a 150-foot climb to the top.
So one more step. Can you reach up here?
Yeah.
Yep. So that's better. Then you can lift yourself up.
With a push of a button, Hermansen opens the door to the nacelle, which houses the gearbox and generator.
So, I mean, you can step up here
Yeah.
and you can have the view. All right.
Whoa.
Yeah.
This is really, really something.
Yeah. It's similar to a 3,000 horsepower engine.
Yeah.
So it's a big engine.
Samso has become a symbol of what Denmark wants for all of its 5.5 million people. It's the first country to build massive offshore wind parks and has an ambitious plan to run 100% on renewable energy by 2050. No oil, coal, or gas for electricity, heat, or even transportation. The plan was set in motion in Denmark's capital, Copenhagen, 40 years ago, not because of global warming, but because of the 1973 Arab oil embargo. With 99% of its energy then coming from the Middle East, Denmark decided to pursue energy independence. Its thousands of miles of coastline are especially suitable for harnessing wind power. But one drawback is the supply is not consistent.
You have arrived on a day where there's no wind in Denmark.
Torben Glar Nielsen is Executive Vice President of EnergyNet, a government-owned company responsible for Denmark's energy infrastructure. At the heart of the system is an interconnected electrical grid, a sort of energy exchange that links Denmark to its neighbors, Sweden and Norway to the north, and Germany to the south.
We have interconnectors to other countries. So when there's no wind, for example, then we can import, and when there's a lot of wind, we can export.
EnergyNet is in negotiations to extend the grid to include the Netherlands and the UK, making the market for renewable energy more reliable and competitive.
People then can buy the electricity where it's cheapest, so that's very good for the consumers.
But not so good for traditional power plants. While on average, Denmark produces 40% of its electricity from wind, there are times when it produces more than 100%, and that makes the price of electricity so cheap, coal and gas-fired plants can't compete. One day in September, power plants across the whole country shut down for 24 hours.
What they are doing, a lot of them, is that they very early took the step of saying, okay, we have to be part of this instead of against this. So today, for example, the Danish company Dong, they are building offshore wind parks. So instead of just saying we want to stick to our coal-fired power plants, then they have gone into the new business.
Beyond developing renewable energy, Denmark is pushing conservation too. To discourage gasoline consumption, Denmark's tax on new cars is among the highest in the world, 180%. That encourages Danes to spend more time on two wheels. In fact, here in Copenhagen, 1/3 of all commutes to work and school are done on bikes. While electric cars are not as popular here as in other countries like Norway, the Netherlands, Germany, or the US, Denmark offers a big financial incentive to buy electric, waiving that 180% new car tax. Engineers Mads and Anne Luca own two.
The better technology. It's much more fun, it's quiet, it's cleaner.
And you never lose a race for green light, as you say.
Their appliances are all rated A+. Like a lot of their neighbors, the Lucas have a washing machine, dishwasher, oven, refrigerator, and freezer with maximum energy efficiency. Their lamps use LED bulbs, which use less energy than typical incandescent or fluorescent bulbs.
Then it's so efficient that it doesn't get warm.
Because their house has solar panels too, the family is very conscious of its energy consumption, tracking it all on their computer. That spike when the coffee maker went on in the morning. While all of this costs them more up front, the Lucas say it saves them money in the long run. And it's the right thing to do.
I think it's only naturally that you want to leave a better country for your kids. And we also want to do that.
Denmark's vision of the future includes smart homes with computers that run appliances when energy demand is lowest and cheapest.
Giving to the inverter?
And extending the smart power grid throughout Europe, from Denmark to Spain, to distribute power when it's really needed on any given day. Back on Samso Island, Søren Hermansen is looking ahead.
We should go further because we can. We should develop the technologies because it's necessary and we have the possibilities, and we should do science and research also to be on the next level of development to help out the rest of the world and end this transition to better the climate.